What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another XXL video. Today we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be taking an early access look at a new map in XXL that isn't quite public yet, and you guys can download this map in the link down below. But secondly, today we're going to do a little tutorial as well for you guys with the XXL mod. I'm going to teach you guys how to do foot plants and how to set up the stances for your own custom stances in the XXL mod. So this is what people think the XXL mod is. This is the stat menu. You can basically change any setting of how your guy pops, how fast he pops, how fast he flips, how fast he scoops. This is the basic stat menu that people know about. This is what people want on console. If you flip through these tabs, you'll realize that there's actually settings for every single small detail in Skater XL. The new grinds tab here, for example, is nuts. Stat menu for my grind. Not only is it for just my grinds, if you look down here, there's a whole drop-down menu for each different kind of grind. So currently I have lip slide selected. This right here is a stat menu for my lip slides only. Just one trick. And this is just scratching the surface of how deep this really goes. If you press the U button and open up the stance menu now, kind of jumping ahead here a little bit, there's a stance for every single type of stance in Skater XL, but this, we're talking about just the grinds. So let me go over in the stance tab to the grinding section. So we're gonna select backside, nose, blunt slide. So now what I'm doing, I have a custom stats menu for my nose blunt slide that I can adjust. I have a custom stance for backside nose blunts, meaning I can put my feet wherever I want, whenever I want during a backside nose blunt slide, and I could change that for every single setting in Skater XL. Every single grind, front side and backside, even the willies and low-C grinds. First off, in today's video, we're gonna explain the stances. So after we explain how stances function and work in Skater XL, you'll probably have an idea of how foot plants work, and we'll get into that later on. So first, we'll go through stances, and then we'll go through the foot plants, okay? By the way, guys, this map that we're at today is actually a park that I created yesterday. I was gonna make a YouTube video yesterday, but I didn't have any ideas for what to do. And I think what we're gonna be doing in the next couple of videos is taking a step back and going back to tutorials for you guys, because I think there's lots of questions that you guys have been asking that are very, very common that I should be able to cover in a few videos for you guys. I want to make sure you guys are good. All right, enough about that. Let's get into the foot plants and the stances. So first off, we're going to explain how the stances kind of work. I'm going to press F7 to open up the XXL mod. You can actually just press the U button as well. It doesn't really matter. So I'll just press U instead, actually. Press U on the keyboard. And here is the stance mod. And you'll notice when I actually open up the menu, my stance changed. This is important to note because what is my guy's stance right now? My guy is in his riding stance right now. He's standing up, he's riding the skateboard, he's in his riding stance. If you press U and look at your options in the drop-down menu, these are all the stances that your guy can be in Skater XL. These are all the stances in the entire game. Depending on what you're setting up, you have to actually be doing the trick that you're setting up. That's the most important thing to remember. So if you are trying to set up a custom manual stance, you want to be doing a manual while you're setting up your stance. So if I press the manual tab, you see how my feet are kind of funny? I already have a custom manual set up, so whenever I do manuals, my feet go to a custom spot like that. But you'll notice when I'm in my riding stance, it looks weird. When I press U, it'll go to my real riding stance. So you have to realize whenever you set up a new stance in the stance mod, you have to be doing the trick or the stance while you're setting it up. So this is my custom riding stance right here. I'm going to reset everything. I'm gonna press the reset all button and go to completely default. This is what you guys are probably at right now. So reset all, go to default. I'm actually already in my riding stance. I'm not doing anything on the buttons at all. Nothing's happening. I'm already in my riding stance. So I can actually go ahead and start getting to work right away. So I can actually take my follow camera or my XL graphics camera and use this to my advantage if I want. And now I have a better view of what I'm doing. So this is a little bit easier to kind of work with, right? On the left side, I have my left foot and my right foot. So I just want my foot to be in a different position in the back. And maybe my front foot will change as well too. So this is my right foot on the right side here. I'm gonna go left with my right foot. So it goes to the left. We're gonna go backwards. And it's going backwards. We're gonna go up. Makes it go up. We're gonna pitch forward, which makes the foot pitch forward. And now we're gonna line up the ball of my foot with my toes and stuff onto the heel of the board. Another little tip about the stance mod is that your shoes matter. Depending on what kind of shoes you're wearing, you'll have different results because the shoes actually have different heights to them. So some shoes will be floating, some shoes will be inside of your board, some shoes will actually work fine with the model that you have. So whatever you do in the stance mod, you have to make sure that your shoes are made to work with the stances you set up, because when you change shoes, stuff might not look the same anymore. let's take this right foot and we're gonna press yaw. Maybe not yaw. We're gonna do roll. So this will roll it to the side. And this way I can kind of make it match up to the tail of the board because the board is on an angle. So at the top here, you have 2 sliders, and this applies to both the left and the right foot. So if I turn this up and this up all the way, I can move my foot left and right very quickly. If I have it turned down all the way, I can make my foot move very slowly. So I can rotate it slowly, move it slowly to make fine adjustments. And now we have our new custom riding stance set up in Skater XL. And whenever I'm riding around in my regular stance now, it'll be this. This is pretty cool. I like the toe on the tail of the board. It actually looks kind of sick. And you'll realize when I go to switch now, it's different. And why is this? That is my switch riding stance. I have to set up this stance separately now. So this is a different stance than the riding stance. I'm gonna keep saying it. Every single position in Skater XL has a different stance, and they can all be set up individually. Every single one of them. And let me explain what I mean right here really quickly. So this, riding stance. If I go down to this, what is this called? This is my setup stance. When I'm in the air, that is my in-air stance. When I'm landing, that is my catch stance. Now, after I caught the board and I landed, I'm back to my riding stance. There was 4 stances in that one ollie that just happened, plus the riding stance that happened at the end. 4 stances in this one trick. Got it? The only one that was custom was the riding stance. The catch one is kind of cool. This is actually really easy. Go to the catch stance at the very top here. So for catch, there's a random landing button. And if you just go to the button right here, turn it on, this will give you a random landing. And that's basically all it does. It's very easy. There's no setting up required. Just, you know, do tricks now, and your feet will land in random spots on the skateboard, giving it a more realistic look. Sometimes your foot may go through the board, depending on your settings and stuff. You have to get kind of lucky to prevent that, but there are ways to prevent that from happening in the first place. Just use shoes that don't go that low on the board. Another important thing to note about the stances is there's a transition time between the stances. Right here, there's position speed, rotation speed, and these are the 2 settings for my left foot. There's position speed and rotation speed for my right foot. What this means is how fast your feet transition into this stance. Okay? You see how they shuffle back like this? 1, 2, 3. If I adjust my position speed all the way up to 5, kickflip, catch, a little bit faster. We did the riding stance, and now let's do a trick. And this will be a very basic trick. We could do a manual. You guys kind of understand how manuals would work. So you'd press manual. You'd have to go onto your controller and do a manual like this. And now you can adjust your feet like this with my left foot, right? Like that, as an example. And when I press U, it'll reset itself. And now when I do a manual, my foot will go over there. That's kind of how it works. So you want to make sure when you're setting up the stance that you're doing the trick, because if I was setting up like this, I wouldn't know where my foot will be like this. Let's do a grinding stance. This will be a little bit harder to do. So I have to press the grinding tab, crooked grind, or actually let's do our front crook. I'm gonna open up my grinds tab and go to the crooked grind settings. So I have the crooked grind stat menu set up. I have the front crooks over here in the stance set up. I'm going to go to my friction because my friction currently is 0. Whenever I do front crooks, I'll slide forever with no stopping. So I turned my friction up to 1, and now I have a lot of friction whenever I do crooked grinds, just for now. And after I set the stance, I'll reset the friction down to 0 again. So I want to make sure that I can actually do the crooked grind and hold it for a long time. So let's press U and get ready to do this. This is kind of like playing Twister by yourself. So front crook. So now we're holding the front crook, right? We're in a front crook. All right. Whatever makes it easier to hold it on sticks, you know, do it. Do whatever you need. But basically, that's what you have to do. You have to hold this stance. All right. So I have the crooked grind. It's make like the right heel go down, pitch it backwards, and the left foot there go down. This is my new custom frontside crooked grind stance. I know this isn't like an ideal crooked grind stance, but just as an example. And let me do this grind. All right. So let's do a front crooked grind. And see where my heel goes? And that's actually our custom stance. And that is how you set it up. So I did it while I was doing a crooked grind. And you can do that for every single grind in Skater XL frontside and backside. So now you have an understanding of how the stances work. So the next thing we're going to cover is how to do foot plants. And just think about it. So for a foot plant, you have to do a grab. And a grab requires you to be in the air. And in this game, you can only be in the air for a certain amount of time. So what could you do to make yourself have infinite hang time so you can hold an indie forever? You can turn the gravity up to 0. Currently in Skater XL, you cannot take your foot off the board when you're doing a grab. You can't do it. Your feet cannot go lower than the board either. With all the default leg settings, your feet won't go lower than the board. So there's different ways of doing foot plants, and there's different ways of setting this up, but this is how we're gonna do it today, all right? So press F7, go to the foot plants tab. This button adds a collider to the bottom of your feet, and whenever your feet touch the ground, they'll get stuck. But the problem is there's no trick currently in the game that your feet can go lower than the board first, so you have to set that up yourself manually. The next step is to go to 1 foot grabs. We're gonna put this one on the sticks. So when I do a grab, I can actually take my foot off the board, and you'll notice that when I actually do that, nothing happens. It's not set up yet. You can press the set up feet button here, and it'll take you to grabs on button. Another important thing to note is there's 2 kinds of grabs in Skater XL. You wanna make sure that you have the grabs turned on and not the new grabs. Use simple on button grabs. We're gonna have that turned on. I think that's what we need. Enabled on. So these settings are what we need to have it set up originally. So all I wanna do is adjust my right foot, only my right foot for this one. A little trick for this to have infinite hang time is we're gonna open the stat menu, go to 0 gravity, and now we're gonna adjust the slider just a little bit. Slow down, and now we're floating slowly. So I went to the left a little bit on the slider, and back to the right to 0, and I helped slow myself down so I don't hit the ceiling. So now that I'm doing indie, I'm doing an indie forever. I can take my right foot and go position speed. We'll go to the left with this, and we'll go down. And this is what happens now. Whenever I do an indie grab and press the right stick, which is my right leg, down, it will make my foot do this. Now you see that my foot is lower than the board. So whenever my foot touches the ground, it'll get stuck. So let's actually make the position speed fast for this. Let's crank these up a lot because you want your feet to go down to the ground fast and not be slow. And we're actually all set up now. So let's press U, ollie, indie. When I press the button down now, this is my grabs on button stance. When I let it go, it goes back. When I press it again, I can do this forever. And I can change how fast the foot transitions back to the board if I want. If you want your feet to go back faster, I think you have to go to your grab section and go to your indie and make your right foot go fast like this. So now my feet go back and forth fast. So now when I do an ollie, indie, my foot's on the ground. And it's all up to you to just let go of the button to do the foot plant. And that's basically it. Wherever it gets caught, it'll work. That's pretty damn sick, dude. I haven't done a foot plant in this game in a long time, and I'm pretty happy to have it set up now. The stat menu that I have in my Discord, the one I'm using right now, has stances for every stance in the game already. My grinds aren't quite set up quite yet, so I don't have custom stances for those quite yet, but they're coming. But I already have a custom stance for my riding stance, my pushing stance, my nollie setup stance, my setup stance, my fakie setup stance, my switch riding stance, my switch pushing stance, my switch setup stance. They're all custom. They're already set up that way. That's why my feet look this way when I skate around, because they're all custom stances that I personally took the time to set up myself. And if you want to skip ahead and just download these stats and not have to worry about setting them up yourself, go to my Discord and just download them. Just install them. You'll have them already. So let's do grabs on button. Take this left foot, and I'll just eyeball this one. So let's take left foot, go to the left, and go down. And I just kind of eyeballed it really quickly. It'll probably work. So now I have a custom left foot too. So when I do indies, I can take my left foot off the board. And this is pretty sick because if I go back and forth, I can kind of do this. You know, this is foot plants. This is how they work in the game. So 1 foot grabs, enabled. Foot plants, enabled. Custom stance to make your feet go lower than the board, set up. And after all those 3 things are set up, you can do foot plants and do whatever you want. Maybe we'll do one more stance really quickly to show you the basics, because there's more than just grabs. It can get really complicated. You can do whatever you want in this game. If you know what tools you have and how to use them and combine them together, you can do any trick you want in Skater XL. You can do hand plants, you can do handstands. If you want to do a handstand, what would it require with the XXL mod? It will require your feet to be in the air and your hands to be on the board. New grabs, do this, and then make a stance that makes your feet go into the air. And oh my god. Anyways, that's a custom stance. All right, this is one more example, and this will help kind of wrap things up and give you guys an idea of how everything works. All right, so let's go to on button, reset everything. I don't want to have those anymore. Those are kind of weird. Pushing. You know, it's hard to kind of set it up because I'm constantly moving. I mean, if I found a flat surface, I can do this forever on. I mean, that's okay. But an easy way to make this work is to do this. You go to my stat menu. Let's go to push force down to 0. So now I can still push, but I ain't moving. So that is it, guys. I explained everything in perfect detail, I think, of how to use the stance mod. It's actually not that difficult. It is complicated, it's a pain in the butt, but you have to understand that this stat menu allows unlimited tricks in skateboarding, in this game at least. And that's kind of how skateboarding is IRL. There's tricks that haven't been done yet that are possible in Skater XL. So really what this comes down to is your own creativity. How creative do you want to get? And what is your understanding of the tools that are given to you? And if you have a good understanding and a good, a good mindset and good creativity, you could probably make something really, really cool happen. If there's anything I missed, if there's any questions you guys have about the stance mod or anything related to Skater XL, let me know in the comments down below. I'll probably answer you guys and just cover it in a future video or just answer you guys in the comments. So let me know. Join my Discord down below. If you want to download my stats that I'm using from today's video, they're in there. If you want this map from today's video, it's in there. If you want me, I'm in there. Also, another reminder that I stream Skater XL on Twitch, so come give me a follow on Twitch. I'll be streaming probably tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys there. Other than that, guys, hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.